Grand Rising, Divine Souls. I look a little disheveled. I just ran out the door this morning to drop my daughter off. So I look a little disheveled, but it doesn't matter. So let's have a little car chat. I was inspired to do this because I was just reading something earlier this morning, something I read in social media. And this person wrote that they're really, really frustrated and angry because every time they try to share truth with friends or family, they get, they get attacked or bullied, and like nobody's listening. And I resonated with this person because that was me about 2.5 to 3 years ago, where I was trying to share information, spreading information about the harm from these C-19 jabs, about the lies that were being put out by the mainstream media. I was sharing all kinds of information at the very start of this pandemic, and I experienced all of that. I experienced being attacked and bullied online. I was blocked. I was made fun of. I was called a tinfoil hat. I mean, I went through all of that. I was forced to feel shame. I was forced to feel like there was something wrong with me simply because I was sharing my truth and information, okay? And it wasn't being accepted by the people because they were not ready to receive those messages. And so I just want to say to that person and to all of the other people, the truthers, the seekers of truth, the spiritually awake people, and there's many of us and more each day, is that when you first awaken, when you first learn about all the truths and you start to see through the illusion, the lies, the deceit, all of that, the first thing you want to do is tell the world, okay? And that's a natural thing, because in doing so, you're trying to protect your family. You're trying to protect the ones that you love. You're trying to tell them, like, don't do that. Don't take that. But what you soon discover is that the more that you try to tell people that are closed-minded, or I use the word asleep to mean unconscious or unaware, okay? The more you try to tell people that are asleep, the more that they're going to get triggered and project back because they're not ready. They're still too far deeply entrenched in the indoctrination to even comprehend what us people are trying to share. But I never, ever let people's projections stop me from speaking, because the one thing that we as children of God are supposed to do is to discover our authentic selves, to discover our gifts, to discover our truths, and stand and speak and express ourselves. You see, that's what we were designed to be, is to be ourselves, no matter what people think. And so I never stopped speaking, no matter the humiliation that I was put through, and at one point, it got very toxic with even just family. Of all the people, it was family. Some family members that got so toxic and abusive that I suddenly realized it was my responsibility to cut those toxic people out of my life, because if I didn't do that, they would just continue to attack, to bully. It got to the point where some of them were actually attacking my character, defaming me, attacking me personally, and that is really dirty. That actually says more about them and where they're at in their life than it does about me. But I took my power back, and I didn't play the victim. I basically said, nope, I'm done. I will not tolerate your abusive, narcissistic behavior. And I had to block and cut people out. And many blocked me, which is completely fine. But those people who are somewhat ready to receive the messages, who are starting to stir, their soul is starting to stir, and they're starting to feel that maybe something isn't right. They're listening. They may not be commenting, they may not be liking your posts, but they're watching your videos and they're listening. And I know this for a fact. And for me personally, what I've witnessed the last 2.5, well, more specifically the last 1.5 years, is how many people have actually awakened in my life that I know, that have actually reached out to me personally and even said, holy cow, I didn't understand what you were talking about, but now I get it. I'm starting to see what's happening, and are starting to share with me that, they didn't believe what I was saying at the beginning, but now they're starting to see that what I've been sharing actually has come to fruition. So, when you're planting seeds of truth, you have to do it from a heart space. And you do it from your authenticity, and you do it without any expectations of people waking up. And this is the message I wanted to relay to all of those that are experiencing this right now. You can't force people to see your perspective. You can't force people to believe your truths. You can only share your truths and allow other people to do as they wish with that information. Some will reject it because they're not ready for it. Some will sit with it for a bit and, maybe just not really sure. And some will resonate with it and will start to do their own research. You see, part of being awake is to share information, but not to force information. And there is a difference. And I had to learn that myself, because at the very beginning, I was trying really hard to wake up my family, and I did it because I was genuinely concerned. I was worried about them being harmed by the jabs, or being lied to, or being led down, a very dark path by these corrupt systems. But then I soon started to realize that they're not going to wake up until they're ready. And I had to let them do it. It's their free will. Just as it's my free will to speak my truth, it's their free will to believe what it is they want to believe. And I've come to terms with this. I had to really do a lot of inner healing, a lot of reflection, introspection, and I've had to grieve a lot of my relationships because I had to let a lot of them go, because I just knew deep down that, some people are just never going to awaken. Their souls chose not to be part of this great awakening, and that's okay. At a soul level, everybody has a choice, and we're all going to be at different places and different levels of awareness. Some will awaken and join in this great awakening. Some may choose to stay asleep and not participate in this shift that we're all going through. And we have to be okay with that. Of course, it's sad. It's sad because, many people have experienced rifts within their own friends and families, within their communities. But sometimes I also see this as a bit of an up-leveling, because this is how we grow, this is how we evolve, and this is how we shift ourselves into a higher timeline. And sometimes when you do that, you have to let go of the baggage that's keeping you down. So much like I've spoken about before, about being in those toxic relationships, toxic friendships, even toxic marriages, is if you stay in it, you're going to be kept in that toxic energy. But when you're ready to release yourself from that, because you deserve better, because there's more, because you're starting to awaken to the truth and your potentiality, you begin to raise your vibration, you begin to open your consciousness, and you start choosing people and situations that are in your highest good. And that means you have to let go of those things that are no longer good for you, whether it be friends or families or situations or jobs. It's how we evolve. You cannot evolve if you keep yourself small because of someone else. And I always say this too. Don't stop speaking because it makes people uncomfortable. You see, it's not your job to make people feel comfortable. It's your job to be yourself. It's your job to be authentic, to be your true self. It is not your job to make people feel comfortable. If they're not comfortable with what you're sharing, that is for them to deal with, to discover within themselves why they feel triggered, why they feel angry. You see, everything that happens in life has nothing to do with the other person. As long as you're being truthful with yourself and you're doing it from a place of love and integrity, what the other person is feeling is not your responsibility. If people get triggered by what you share, they need to take ownership of their own behaviors. The reason they're projecting and reacting in such harsh, negative ways is because they are refusing to look within themselves. And so projection is simply them not taking ownership of their own shadows. But your job is not to take their projections within yourself. You see, if you've done the work, if you're being truthful, if you're being compassionate, then what they're saying or doing or feeling has nothing to do with you. You're simply just being a mirror back to them, what they're not willing to look at. This is how the evolution of consciousness is unfolding right now. So keep speaking, even if your voice shakes, because somebody is listening. And if you help one person through free will to awaken, then you've done your job. And everybody else will awaken in divine timing in what is good for their soul and what their soul has chosen. So don't force anybody to believe your truths. Just speak your truth. That is enough. And this is what I do every time I make a video. I speak from my heart. I speak from my truth, and I'm simply just being me, sharing my truth. And I always say to people, you don't have to believe me. Use your discernment. You choose what you wish to believe. But it is not going to stop me from being who I am. And I see it as planting seeds. We have to plant seeds, and these seeds begin to germinate. And when that person's soul is ready, they will awaken. They will start to see and feel and know the truths. And that's all our job is to do. Okay? So I hope this message came out clearly. I really just felt I needed to share that this morning. And to all of those people that are feeling what I was talking about, I see you, I hear you, and I love you. And don't stop speaking the truth. Keep speaking. Be yourself, and don't be afraid what people think of you. That is the most powerful place you can be in, when you've completely looked within yourself. Own yourself. Own your own reactions, your own behaviors, and being truthful to you. Everything else doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what people think of you. It doesn't matter if people get mad at you. That's not your job or responsibility. That's for them to own. So with that, I love you all, and I'm so excited about what this year has in store for all of humanity. There's some very, very, very big energies this year, and there's some very big revelations and truths unfolding and coming for all of humanity to see. So we are being assisted by the Creator right now. Everything is unfolding in divine order. Have a wonderful day, beautiful souls, and I will talk to you on the next video.